Welcome back to PSC Tech Byte. This week we are going to talk about tenant-wide extensions. In fact, starting with SharePoint Framework 1.6, we can create SharePoint Framework Extensions which can be provisioned and deployed across the whole tenant. Those extensions can be application customizers or list view command set. And when you do the tenant-wide provisioning, you can select the target web template for the application customizers or the target list template ID for the list view command sets. In order to do that, you will have first of all to create a SharePoint Framework 1.6 solution. And by default, the SharePoint Framework generator will scaffold for you some sample files to help you in the provisioning of the tenant-wide extensions. Moreover, you will have to configure the skip feature deployment attribute to true, so you will have to enable the tenant-wide deployment of your solution. Of course, you will have to develop and to create your extension, and once you are done, you will have to deploy the SPPKG file of your solution in the tenant app catalog. Once you've done that, you can just configure a list item in the tenant-wide extension list, which is now available in the tenant app catalog, in order to make your extension available across the whole tenant. So, let me move to the demo environment and let me show you how to do that in practice.
For the sake of making a simple and easy demo, we will use a global footer application customizer, which is available in PnP under the sp-dev-solutions repo in Solutions Global Footer. This one has been built by my friend Valdek Mastercard for the purpose of having a simple demo to show the application customizers. So, from a source code perspective, this application customizer is nothing more than a custom footer for a modern site or for the modern UI, in which we create an instance of a global footer React component, and that React component will simply use a bunch of links provided through the settings through a configuration property, which will be a setting of the application customizer. So, from an XML perspective, from a feature framework perspective, we have a client-side component instance created by the SharePoint generator, which will instruct SharePoint Online about placing these settings in the tenant-wide extensions list of the app catalog. And moreover, in the package solution JSON file, we have the skip feature deployment equal true property to have the tenant-wide deployment of the solution. So let me go to the app catalog of a target tenant, and by dragging and dropping the SPPKG file of this solution onto the app catalog, we will have to constant the tenant-wide deployment by selecting the checkbox that you see here, make this solution available to all site collection in the organization, to all sites, sorry. And once we will have deployed this solution tenant-widely, we will also have in the tenant-wide extension list of the app catalog, which is a list you can find under site contents of your app catalog. Here it is, tenant-wide extensions. You will see we have an item which simply declares our global footer with the component ID, which corresponds to the ID that we have in the manifest of that application customizer, as well as we provide the correct location for the customizer and a bunch of settings in the component properties, which will be the settings provided to the extension. So if you select this item and if you edit it, you can see in the editor that there is a JSON representation with some default settings for a footer. Now, if we save this item and we browse to any modern site that we have in SharePoint Online, like for example this guy, here we can see, as soon as the loading will be completed, that we have a custom footer, which is the one rendered by the application customizer we just saw. And I did not have to add manually this footer to this communication site, but it has been added automatically by the tenant-wide deployment. Of course, you can configure in the tenant-wide extension list custom settings, like for example, I can replace Contoso with my company name, and I can even say that I want to see this extension applied if and only the target web template is grouped as 0, so the modern theme site. By doing that and by saving this item in the list, in a matter of few seconds, SharePoint Online will be updated. So if I will refresh the communication site, I will not see anymore the footer because this is a communication site and not a modern theme site. On the contrary, if I open a modern theme site, or even if I create a new modern theme site, I will have the application customizer and the custom footer applied to a site. So let's create a site, call it Test Extensions 2018-1010. Let's create the site, and in a matter of few seconds the modern theme site will be created, and we will have the custom footer, here we are, the custom footer applied to the site with the passist.com that we configured, as well as applied to any modern theme site in our tenant. This is pretty useful and powerful, because by defining just one item in this list, we can apply a application customizer in all of the sites in our tenant, or any of the specific site with the web template that we provide in the settings in our tenant.
As usual, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.